Good afternoon. My name is Denise Watts, and first, before I get started, I would just like to say, as someone coming from outside Nashville, I'm so excited to be in a room with people who are ready to lift education for kids in the right direction. So I applaud you. What you're doing is unprecedented across our country. I'm not going to spend a lot of time telling you about what I've done in my career. How I'd like to start is why I do what I do. And I'm very... So when you look at the faces of these three young men, what are some of the words that populate into your minds? I'll take a stab at some of them. Troubled, disenfranchised, disconnected. Some of you may even choose to use the word criminal, thug, and there's probably an array of other words, none of them probably associated with anything positive. When Project Lift started 3 years ago, and my office, which is on the corner of LaSalle and Betty's Ford, in the heart of the West Charlotte corridor, these three young men frequented the outside at the bus stop during the hours of the school day, and they spent their time out there loitering, selling drugs, and engaged in behavior that none of us would consider productive for the city of Charlotte. 3 years later, these are the same three young men, and while their physical features are also extremely transformational, just looking at them, the before and after, their lives have also been transformed. We were able to connect these boys and kids just like them to possibility and the belief that they could do more and be better, not only in school but in life. So when I think about why I get up every morning and do what I do and why I'm here today, because I have two young sons of my own and lots of work to do in Charlotte, it's because of the faces of these three young men that I know exist right here in Nashville, and anything is possible when a community comes together and wraps their arms around kids. So I'm really excited to talk to you today. So I represent Project Lift. Lift is an acronym. It stands for Leadership and Investment for Transformation. And Project Lift got its start about 5 years ago after Jeffrey Canada came and talked to a room of about 1,500 people about what he's done in the Harlem Children's Zone in New York. And from that conversation, a group of philanthropic leaders sat in the room and they said, we have to do more. We have to expect more, and we have to lead not from the periphery, not from pointing a finger saying this group of people should be doing better, our schools should be doing better, but what are we doing as a community? What are our businesses doing as a community? And these individuals, over the course of 2 years, brought in the superintendent and formed a public-private partnership and committed $55 million to a 5-year initiative to lift student achievement in 9 West Charlotte corridor schools. Now, when Lift first started, many people were totally enamored by the number 55 million. So I would be remiss if I did not say that that private support, while great, I don't want to minimize $55 million, that only breaks down to about $1,200 per child per year over the 5 years. And my role, really, as the Learning Community Superintendent and Executive Director, is to coordinate these funds and strategically use these funds and other resources that come to our schools to lift student achievement for those 7,200 students. When Lift first started, one of the great things that the philanthropic leaders, the business leaders, the parents, and the community did is they had an interactive learning experience, kind of sort of like what you're starting today. And what they did over the course of 2 years is they sat with the school district and they looked at data, they had conversations about the schools, and really learned a lot of lessons. They brought in national reform leaders And what they decided to do is to focus their efforts on 9 schools to get a start on a larger reform project. These 9 schools were a pre-K-12 feeder pattern with one high school, West Charlotte High School, which is nationally known for the school that got integration right back in the 70s and 80s, but is no longer that school because of a lot of different things that have happened in the community. At the time, these 9 schools were the lowest performing in the district. When I assumed my role, West Charlotte High School 3 years ago had a 51% graduation rate. But if you think about all other academic outcomes, these schools were at the bottom of the barrel. Highest teacher turnover, highest out-of-school suspensions, lowest test scores, every measurement as it relates to public education. And the $55 million, this group of people decided, along with the community, would be invested in these 4 areas. Talent, obviously getting the best teachers and the best leaders into those schools, and really raising the profession to the elite profession that it should be in the country. Time, not only how we use time during the school day, but how would time be used in the summer and after school. Technology was the idea that really came from the parents. They realized that their students were behind, not just because of academic gains, but because there is a digital divide and a lack of access to 21st century tools. And so the parents said, we need this access. And then the last pillar of Project Lift is around engaged community and parents. And we all have to be at the table, very similar to where you all are today, for this to move beyond the 5 years. We also work with 19 different partners, some of which are probably very familiar to this area: Communities in Schools, Teach for America, Building Educated Leaders for Life, which is an after-school and summer enrichment program. But it really isn't about an individual program. I've heard for years, as I've worked through education, that Teach for America is going to close the achievement gap, or CIS is going to save all the kids and get them to where they need to be. In my experience, these singular organizations have never done what they said they're going to do. So the vision and what really drew me to Lift is synergistically, what if we all work together? And we got out of our silos and we all came to the table. What kind of collective impact could we have? And so these 19 partners that we work with don't work in isolation. We meet, we talk, they share, and we cross-pollinate ideas. So not only do the 9 Project Lift schools get better, but those organizations get better because of the work that they're doing together. So our goals, this always gets a raised eyebrow when I talk about Project Lift, because as I stated before, when Lift started, we had a 51% graduation rate at West Charlotte, and the first goal that you see here is 90%. So, people always look down their glasses at me and say, be realistic, Ms. Watts. Be realistic about your goals. When I sat down to write goals for Project Lift, I thought, well, we could go up 10% every year. We might go up 7%. At the end of the day, when 5 years are over, I'm not going to be real excited about a 71% graduation rate. I'm not going to get up every morning and work 16-hour days for a 62% graduation rate. But I can go for 90. That gets me excited, and it also gets the teachers excited. When I can walk into schools and you hear 90, 90, 90, people are coming to work for that. So we have to reach further in our thinking and our goals for our kids. So what I want to tell you as you go on this journey is that when it all started in Charlotte, everyone thought we got the money, we got the philanthropic support, we got parents, we got everybody at the table. We have no other route but to go and be successful. Not that easy. The road to success looks more like the picture on that would be your right. It's messy work. It's very messy work. But one of the most liberating things I was told as the leader of Lift is, not all of this is going to be successful, but we have to try something because we already know what we're doing now doesn't work. So if we just live in the status quo, we're going to continue to get what we've always gotten. So let's start somewhere. So what I hope to be able to do with you today is tell you a little bit about our mile markers of progress, our bumps in the road, and our lessons learned. So I'm not going to paint you this beautiful picture of if it was all beautiful, our journey was wonderful. We've been on the side of the road. We ran out of gas a couple of times, but we're still moving forward. So one of the things that I'm really excited about is the graduation rate at West Charlotte High School. As I said before, when we started at about 51%. We are now at 78%, and we're projected to go up this year. That's because of getting the right leaders and the right teachers in our high school and doing a lot of personalization to meet the needs of our students. This thing is not working very well. Out-of-school suspension rates continue to decline year over year, and you can see the data there. What we know to be true is when kids are in school, they're going to learn more. When kids are at home, they're not going to be productive in society or in school. All Project Lift schools last year met or exceeded the growth expectations for the state of North Carolina, and that's after the switch to Common Core. So we're pretty excited about that growth. And on both the reading and English 2 state end-of-year tests, our kids' growth exceeded that of their peers. One of the things that I used to hate when I started LIFT was the fact that our Board of Education had deemed our 9 schools hard to staff. And I used to say to myself, what parent wants to drop their kid off at a school that has a label hard to staff? And so I said to myself, this label will change, and I'm going to make it my personal goal to do that. And so we've worked really hard by implementing something called opportunity culture that has really elevated the inclination for people to want to come to our schools, and it's changed the culture of our schools. And our retention rate of these great teachers is also going up. We successfully advocated for a longer calendar year with the state legislature. Politics plays a role in this. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. And lastly, our technology milestone, we have answered our parents' request, and we've given laptop computers to 2,000 of our students in grades K through 5. So let me quickly get to the challenges and bumps in the road, because again, those were some milestones of progress. This work is really hard. The climate in terms of our state legislature continues to change. We've had leadership turnover. We know we need to do a better job of addressing students' social emotional needs. Our state accountability model has continued to change. In some, this stuff is easier said than done. I mean, that's just it's hard. It's hard, and you have to have dedicated people who want to do the work. To do the work, the most important thing is there has to be a shared vision and belief, and hopefully you all are getting to that today. And collective effort is always going to win above individual intention. Leadership matters, and you don't have to always look to the school board or to the superintendent to be leaders. In Charlotte, it came from people like the mayor who was on the LIFT board. It came from the philanthropic community. But you have to expect some shifts. Those people don't always stay in place. Expect the unexpected. In Charlotte, what we have is a collaboration agreement where Project LIFT, the private donors, and the public schools have created an agreement that says we're going to work together, but also our schools have to have some autonomy to do some things differently. But we have spelled out the rules of engagement. We have a reporting structure. I report dually to the philanthropic board and up to the superintendent. And, of course, we monitor everything we do. We have both internal and external evaluation. And I'll leave you with this quote: never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. It is indeed the only thing that ever has. You all are that group of people, and I look forward to watching great things happen for Nashville.